Hello. I just wanted to make a bone guide real quick because a lot of guides on Necromancer in season one focus on like petless builds and all that, and I really enjoy playing pet builds, so I've kind of pseudo made my own build by taking a couple things and looping them to like incorporating them together to make it work, right? I'm not copying necessarily any build online. This build is full minion builds where a lot of your damage comes from your minions. So it basically revolves around minions. However, our builder and our spender is going to use bones, splinters, and bone spears. So this is basically the boner build, if you know what I'm saying. We got massive amounts of minions here. So we got 13 pets in total. And we could get up to 14 if we wanted to. Just to highlight the stuff real quick. So race skeleton, self-explanatory. You need this on your bar to summon your pets. But when your pets are out and you cast this, not only does it buff your pets, but it also will heal them. So this is a heal and a buff to your pets when they're out. Golem, self-explanatory again. You need your golem, and we use the bone golem because he taunts. We should never be taking much damage in this build. Decryptify just too good for the same reason. Provides a lot of utility, and it slows them down and makes the damage less. And Bone Storm is the ultimate that we're going to use again because our bone skills are what we're tying it in. Bone skills and pets. So this is basically all boner. You know what I'm saying? So, Bone Storm gives us the ability to kind of be in melee as well because we get some damage, some DR damage reduction, and our Golem also gets a copy of Bone Storm. So, in those situations where we got to get close and in the middle of a bunch of guys, Bone Storm will just keep us alive and just delete guys. Um, I'm gonna go over gear really quick. I'm gonna put a link to this build online so you can see it, but I gotta make that first. So one of the there's only a couple things that are really important to this build. One is this unique. If you can get this unique, the one that busts Bone Spear, it's really good. And then you want this aspect imprinted on one of your items for sure, because vulnerable is so OP in this game, and your bone skills make enemies vulnerable and they just get deleted, right? So do you want this one for sure, and then this one is also very good to have. And on my necklace, I got the mage one, so I could have 3 mages. So I get 1 extra mage instead of 2. Covering the pets themselves, you could use reapers and use this. It helps reapers do a lot more damage because again, you're going around vulnerable, so there's a synergy with vulnerable enemies. Or you could actually use warriors and have an additional warrior. That's another one. We don't really need any corpse generation because we have plenty already. So you can use this if you don't want to use reapers. You can get an extra pet out of it. And then the mages. Mages, this is basically your best option right here. This is really strong. While your mages are just casting back and doing their thing, they generate you a lot of essence. A lot of your essence regeneration is going to come from this, so you definitely want to have this, and that's the only option you're going to want. Trust me. Golem again, like I said, run Bolden Golem, and we taunt, and this just makes them more tanky. You could use this to generate. Where was the one? Actually, I think it was a different golem. It was like blood golem or something. But one of them can provide more corpses. I forget which one it is, but oh, here, yeah, this is actually it. My bad. So this is the one I'm using. This is sheds more corpses. So you always never have corpses around. You need corpse generation. So that kind of covers all that. Paragon, I don't want to take too long in covering that because I'm low level. I don't even have that many Paragons yet. But obviously the first tree is a no-brainer. Almost every build goes this way, right? Because you start off with the right side to get your damage, and then you kind of cross over here to the left for the same reason. You get damage. Basically what I do towards the end game is I go with the mage glyph, and then I definitely go with the warrior glyph, and then ultimately I'll also go with the golem glyph again because this is built for pets. If you want to summon pets and do well, that's basically what I do. And then as you're pathing, same thing. I try to go for boards that increase pets. Again, increase pets damage. Again, it's all about the pet damage, right? So basically self-explanatory. Anything that buffs your pets is something you're gonna want. But we do rely on Bone Splinters and Bone Spear for a lot of damage and to make the enemies vulnerable. Okay, we want to make those enemies vulnerable because the vulnerability is OP. I'm covering these real quick. Self-explanatory. Bone Splinters, you only need 1 point infinitely because it's just our builder there to get more essence and to turn the enemies vulnerable. Again, a lot of points are about corpses and about your pets. So tag this, and you want to max out Bone Spear because that's our main damage besides our pets. You definitely want to max that, and then just kind of take anything that synergizes well with pets and pet damage. As you can see here, I know a lot of runs use Blood Mist in their run because of the immune and being able to get out of like stuns and fears and some content in the very late game. You know, having that is almost mandatory on some builds because you will die. You'll just get stunned in fire or die, right? We're not using that here. It's just revolves around play style. If we try to play at range, we can get away with dodging a lot of stuff. And one thing I noticed that I typically do when it comes to gear is I get boots that have +2 max evade charges, right? That gives us 3 dashes. Like I cannot undersell how good 3 dashes are. It basically gives you ability to dash through a whole room of enemies, and when you're in a situation where you're kind of pinned or stuck or it's a clusterfuck, you can basically just dash through everything and get away scot-free. Having 3 dashes has saved my life so many times. I don't care if the boots suck. Even if the boots suck and they're not the stats you want, having those 3 evades is just huge. Like once you have it, you'll see what I'm saying if you roll like that. Again, not to cover too much gear. Some of it's just increased skeletons. This one is really good. That when you first pull a group of enemies, they tend to be slowed and chilled, so that helps so you don't have them running up. Decryptify also slows, but it's just nice to have. This is also self-explanatory. This I just have because I don't have nothing better. But yeah, and then this one, Skeleton Mages 3. Again, more pet buffs here. Bone Spear, self-explanatory. And again, here goes more pet buffs. So, yeah, a lot of it's around pet buffs or bone skills. That's basically your bread and butter, right? Alright, so let's go over some of the play style here. Like the first, you kind of have a rotation in sense. The first thing you do is decryptify, and then you send in your golem and you taunt them. And then you just let your mages and just switch between Bone Splinters and Bone Spear to just destroy everything. A lot of this build does require positioning, and you have to get used to positioning because the mages, as you see, they like to stand back. But sometimes they stand too far back and they don't hit enemies effectively. And we want them to because obviously, again, not only does it come from a lot of damage, but it also regenerates our essence, right? So to get around this, sometimes you basically have to overrun. Like I overrun these guys, that way my mages are forced to come in the room closer, and they can get in there and do their thing and do their damage. So you always want to decryptify big packs of enemies, and you also want to send in your golem to taunt. And then you just basically unload, right? You just go between Bone Splinters and Bone Spear. And again, see how my mages are back there at the doorway. Sometimes they don't deal much damage, and that causes problem for your essence because they're kind of out of range. So it's kind of helpful to like overcome in the room because that will force your mages to step up and get closer, so it will generate you all that extra essence. Right. So I use
I'm not ready yet.
I use Bone Storm there because Bone Storm is the thing you want to use not only to deal massive amounts of enemies, but you're in a situation where you have to be in melee. Bone Spear is a lifesaver because not only will it do a bunch of damage, it gives you a huge DR. It gives you a lot of damage reduction, and that allows you to stand in melee in the middle of a bunch of mobs and not have an issue as a caster and just getting deleted. So Bone Spear not only is a DPS ultimate, but it can really like play down some damage, give you some DR, and your golem gets a copy of Bone Storm as well around him. So you can get in the mix right here. You can be all up in the middle of enemies. See right here, range is not that good, right? Because they got the walls up, or if they have a suppressor up. But the fact that I have Bone Storm running basically makes me next to invincible, you know, being next to the enemy. Thanks to the damage reduction. I know this is not a high key. This is obviously only World 3, Tier 10. I mean, yeah, like a lot of builds, you know, you just destroy stuff at this level. But keep in mind, I'm also only level 61 here, so it's not like I'm level 75 or 80 or whatever, coming in here and showing off how powerful it is. It's kind of appropriate to my level. But yeah, that's basically how the playstyle works. You just gotta watch your positioning to make sure your mages come up in the room where you're at, so they're hitting, because a lot of our essence regeneration comes from that. And that's, yeah, basically it. I mean, we have a rotation. Throw up a decryptify first, throw up your pet taunt. Oh, and there's one thing I didn't cover. So the race skeleton, when you have all your pets out and you use race skeleton on a corpse, you get this buff right here that increases the damage of your pets for so long, and it heals them. So if your pets, you basically want to try and keep that up all the time, like every 10 seconds, throw an old just like decryptifying, because it only lasts like 10 seconds or whatever. You basically want to keep your decryptify curse on them, and then you also want to use the race skeleton, because not only will it keep your pets alive and healthy, but it will also give them that damage buff right here. And it doesn't get stronger if you stack it, so there's no point in just spamming it unless your pets are dying. You just like kill them for a lot, then you can spam it. So that's the rotation. You want to keep weaving back and forth. So throw Cryptify, pet taunt, throw some bone shot spinners and bone spears, and then do some pet healing and pet damage and get the buff. Cast Corpse, get that buff, and they'll get healed up. This build is basically like you have a whole group, right? That's just why I like it. There's really not too many weaknesses with this build, because like again, like you can actually get in the middle of a bunch of guys. You have one storm and as long as your pets are not dying faster than you can keep them alive, you should be able to take out just about anything. Right here, a bunch of guys just gonna come in with Bone Storm, and they just get Bone Storm, and it ensures that I survive as well at the same time. That VR provides. And there's no, what I found, there's no downside. I guess if I had to say there's a downside to this build, it is positioning. So like my mages right here, I have to come all the way in the room because I want to make sure my mages come through the door so they can hit this guy. So sometimes there's walls and barriers. So positioning is really important. Sometimes you just got to run past the mob, and that will ensure that your bone mages come through the door as well to come in here and to because you can get stuck on sometimes. That's, I would say, that's the only downside. You do have to micromanage your pets a little bit, but it's really not that much. Like, you're really not weak at range, you're really not weak in melee, you have a pet that can taunt, and tons of pets that distract, so it's very rare that the actual mobs are coming for you because they have so many targets. And with like the bone golem, you can taunt as well, and he taunts an AoE taunt at enemies, and it just keeps everything off you. Like, when you play this build right, there's never really times where you're getting attacked or getting focused down or anything. And in those rare cases where you have to be in melee, maybe for like suppressor mobs or walls, the mobs that throw up walls, it's fine because you got Bone Storm, which will just delete everything in melee. Like right here, I'm gonna curse this guy, just gonna go with Bone Storm, and I'm just gonna delete these guys here. And again, I try to over commit over here because my mages come in the room, and then they just start generating, killing shit and generating me basically a ton of essence. Try not to curse unless there's a fair amount because mobs make it worth the essence cost. I mean, obviously on bosses you would still curse. It helps with the essence cost. So curse is a fair amount of essence cost. Get back. Let your pets do their thing. Keep your curse up. Then consume a corpse, which keeps your pets buffed and healed. die. You can just kind of chill. It's a pretty lazy build, dude. Like, you can literally let your pets just like carry you so much and do so much of the work here, and your main job is just making things vulnerable, keeping your curse up, and keeping your pets. That's basically all there is to it. So, like, I know there's a lot of insane bone spear and bone builds, or like pure summoner builds, but this build I made I really enjoy it because I kind of take the best of both worlds, right? Like I kind of take the OPness of blood or of spear builds, vulnerable spear builds, but I also take a bunch of pets and pump a lot of pets damage. So can this build be like a Nightmare 100 build, or Lilith killing Lilith in World 4? On World 4 at when she's level 100, can it do that? Probably not. I mean, it depends on how geared you are and how far along you are with your Paragon board and stuff. Probably not. I mean, but I mean, this is fun. This is what I wanted to do. Like, I feel like so many Necromancer builds, people say pets don't work, and they say don't use pets. And to me, that just defeats the whole purpose of it. The Necro, I just want a bunch of undead, an army following me, and just, overwhelm me with the enemies, right?
I need more time.
I'm gonna come in here in the mix again in melee. No big deal. You have your golem taunts, that's what all those skeletons are. And don't forget to buff your pets by summoning another one. Look at this guy's curve. Let your pet do super chill build. Very hard to die. Those times where you're kind of stuck to be in a cluster, you have your bone torn back and stuff. Keep you alive. I think I said that like 5 times. Excuse me. I don't have a build actually built out on like a website, but I will. So check the description. I'll make a build where I can put a link in there and kind of more in depth on what I'm thinking and whatnot. And it's very chill, like very super chill build. Again, like you can stay at range most of the time and have no issues. Buff my pet, heal him a little bit. And yeah, just go with the flow. And the 3 dashes again comes in handy so many times, especially without running blood mist. This blood mist kind of gets you out of those cucked scenarios where you get like stunned and feared and blah 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 blah, right? But if you got 3 dashes, like, and as long as you're paying attention, there's usually nothing you can dash out of, because even if the whole room is surrounded with fear, glyphs or fire or explosions or poison, the fact that you can triple dash will basically get you the hell out of dodge and get you out of just about anything. So let's curse these guys, get my mages in further. Time to pet taunt, get in the middle, go to storm. There we go to work. Up my pets again. Pretty chill, pretty strong, and there's very little weaknesses in this build. There's hardly any weaknesses. You can just basically keep your life keep your pets healthy indefinitely and buffed by consuming corpses with the raised skeleton, because that summons a skeleton. When you're full on minions, it summons a skeletal priest, and that priest will not only give them a buff, but it would also heal them as well. So that's pretty huge. So again, these are the ones I usually work on first, is the mage one, and then I'll usually work on a warrior one after that, and then I'll usually go like golem. But golem is kind of last in my priority list, because majority of your mages damage is going to come from warriors and mages. So yeah, that's basically it. Again, not super gear intensive, but the aspects that you do want, that I do recommend, are going to be the bone spear aspect, and then obviously this one, and if you can get your hands on this unique, try to get one as soon as possible, because that just makes bone spear do some more damage. Ring of Medine or whatever is obviously amazing in this build, but I don't have it yet because I've been playing casually in season 1 so far. Yeah, but that's all there really is to cover. Feel free to ask me some questions. If you're not sure about something, drop something in a comment and let me know. Again, it's like I really make this build because I really want minions to work. I feel like people are like, oh, boneless or minionless builds and sacrifice minion builds and all that, this and that and the third. And I don't know. It's not fun for me. I don't enjoy that. Like if I wanted to play a casterless or a petless class, I would probably play mage or ranged rogue or something like that, right? I mean, if I just wanted to be a range caster, like there's other ones that can probably do it better, but this is full minion builds and using bone support skills together, and that combo is pretty good. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it helped anyone that wants to make a pet build. Long live the pet builds. Like I've seen some semi-pet builds that focus on, but they require a lot of other abilities still, like tendrils and other things like that. And I don't know. This is basically focuses on minions and boners. That's what I call it. The boner builds, because you got your boners out here and you got your boners here. So it's the boner build. Welcome to the boner build. Play what you enjoy. That's always what I say. Don't play what's meta, or don't feel like you gotta copy a guide. If you can do something like this and it works effectively and that's what you want to do that. Play what's fun at the end of the day. Don't play what is meta. Fuck the meta, dude. Play what's fun. And there's so much variation in this game. You could find just about any way to make something work. Again, will it be able to do Nightmare 100 dungeons or World 4 100 Lilith? Probably not. I don't know. I haven't got there yet. Again, more casual. But I mean, it could. I don't know. I haven't got there yet, and I haven't been able to get far enough yet to get that strong yet. But even if it can't, again, I'd rather do Nightmare 50 dungeons or 40 dungeons, but play what I love than be forced to play a meta spec and not enjoy it when I'm doing it just to do higher content, right? So hope this helps some people that want to use boners, and good luck and enjoy later.